come and join us on the stage for a photo call. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
If your conference can't escape the shadow of the Scottish referendum, you might as well invite it on the stage. Labour's struggling to get anything else heard over the continuing tremors from Scotland's referendum. The General Secretary of Labour's biggest trade union reminded delegates just why.
We've seen our political establishments, including, let's be honest, our own party, have a near-death experience in Scotland. We have seen an elite in a panic. This wasn't an upsurge of narrow nationalism. It was an upsurge in defence of our NHS, an upsurge against illegal wars, an upsurge against endless austerity and against inequality. It was a triumph of hope against apathy and fear.
Alex Salmond couldn't put it better, but this is the conference of the party he holds in contempt. Unite is the biggest donor to the Labour Party. Ed Balls, though, felt that his central mission today was to try and reassure voters who worry that he might spend and borrow recklessly in government. His speech, greeted by groans from some of the delegates, emphasised that austerity would continue even if there was a Labour government.
We will need to continue to raise the retirement age to keep our pension system affordable. We will cap structural social security spending and keep the benefits cap.
Ed Balls repeated Labour's new pledge to raise the minimum wage to £8 an hour by 2020. But this was a low-key speech for austere times.
Conference, we will make different choices for fairer deficit reduction and to safeguard our vital public services. That is Labour's plan to balance the books in a fairer way.
You talked about how Labour, the lesson from the referendum in Scotland was that Labour needed to wake up, connect with working class vote that it had dishonoured, neglected. He came up with the slogan, balancing the books in a fairer way. Do you think that'll get them out?
No, I don't. I think mine's more likely to get people out.
You were watching the Scotland referendum like everyone else. Ed Miliband didn't seem to cut through with Labour support up there. A lot of it wasn't listening to him. A lot of it went in the other direction. Isn't that a worrying sort of foreshadowing of maybe what could happen in the general election?
Oh, I think it is, and I think that's the big wake-up call. And I think it's not just in Scotland. I think it's been coming for a while.
The austerity measures Ed Balls talked of, including an extra year of capping child benefit, save little money in the big scheme of the giant deficit. But they are too much for some, too little information for others.
George Osborne has taken the low-hanging fruit. The next Chancellor is going to have to do the really difficult part of deficit reduction. And the only way they'll do that is building a new public sector that better serves the public without needing the same amount of cost.
He never even mentioned anything of that sort in the speech, Ed Balls.
No.
In distant, leafy Buckinghamshire, the Prime Minister gave lunch to some of his MPs, including some of his fiercest critics. He wanted to convince them of his plans to bar Scottish MPs, Welsh and Northern Ireland ones too, from votes on exclusively English matters. Eve of election conferences normally have a bit more buzz than this one. It's probably something to do with the seismic shock of the Scottish referendum campaign and the devolution debate that it has spawned. But it's also something to do with uncertainty around here. For every senior Labour figure you find who's convinced Labour will win the next election, you can find another one who worries or even despairs. The Labour Party hopes that messages of economic reassurance like the one today from Ed Balls can start to ease that uncertainty. Gary Gibbon, Channel 4 News, at the Labour Party conference in Manchester.